next guest this morning was one of the first Irish women to get gender reassignment surgery and will be leading the Pride Festival Parade this Saturday in Dublin, which she's very proud about.
Good morning to Rebecca Tallon de Havilland. Hello, Grand Marshal.
Grand Marshal.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
It's not just the Pride Parade, because it was for the St. Patrick's Day Parade as well. Yeah. Rebecca, is it a huge honour?
I'm a bit like buses. They don't come paraded and then two come together.
But what does it mean to you?
It means everything. It means, I don't know, it's really hard to put in words because I waited 35 years, you know, and when I say I waited, I probably thought nothing would ever happen because until lockdown...
What do you mean you thought nothing would ever happen?
I thought I just kind of had faded into the background of transness, do you know what I mean? Because every time I would come back to Ireland, there was this new wave. And then for a long time, I didn't come anywhere near Ireland, maybe for about 5 or 6 years, because every time I did come home, the press would get hold of me. And I thought I'd be able to rectify my story and tell my story. And then, of course, all you have to do is say one thing, and then next of all, it's headline news, you know? So it was pretty tough. So, and then when I came back here and I started seeing like kind of loads of other trans people, I was delighted to see it. But I have to say, I did feel a bit resentful, you know what I mean? I thought, where's me in this whole equation, you know?
Because we have come so much, we've leapt so forward in the trans community and in that whole aspect of things. But I have to say that I know you many, many years
forever.
In a previous life before Rebecca. And I remember all, which we will talk about, the publicity around that at the time. And it was huge. And it was, for you, it wasn't that great. But what I didn't realise and what you didn't tell anybody at the time, including me, was about your HIV diagnosis.
Yeah, and do you know what? I feel so liberated now being able to talk about it. But Alan, I got so... I mean, being trans at the time, I lost my career, like, literally overnight. You know, I was in the Sunday papers on Sunday, and by Friday, I had nothing. You know, and at that stage, of course, I knew I had HIV because I had gone for all my counselling and all that I had to do. I would fly back and forwards to UK, not let anybody know or whatever. And then I remember going in for my affirming certificate, which makes me actually really angry today because I sat in front of 3 very beige people who probably had never lived or walked a step in my world, you know. And they basically
had to affirm who you are as a human.
And the language they used was, we are unanimous that you are a woman trapped inside a man's body.
Oh, God. What year was this?
87.
1987.
1987.
But your surgery then wasn't going to happen because of your diagnosis.
No.
And this was the major thing for you. This was just your world crumbling.
Because I even though they had said that, because cheekily on the way out the door, once I had the certificate, I just turned on my heel and I looked back at the 3 of them and I said to them, well, I could have told you that at the first meeting. But then I had to go because at that stage, if you remember as well, you won't, but you will, there were tombstones falling out of the sky and it was all about AIDS. Do you know what I mean? So anyone going for any surgery had to have an AIDS test. So I went for my AIDS test and everything. I thought I'd be fine. Yeah. Because I didn't fit the criteria that you got for catching this AIDS thing at the time. And I thought, no, I come from around the land. That couldn't happen to me, you know what I mean? And I remember having to wait a month for my results, an absolute month at the time when I think of it. But there again, I remember going in for my results and thinking, I'll be fine, I'll be fine. And then we brought into a room and being told quite bluntly that I had AIDS. I remember the first thing I said was, will I still be able to have my operation? And they said, no, because you only have about 2 years to live.
Oh, God.
That moment in time, my world stood still and stopped. It really did. And even when I talk about it now, and I talk about it quite freely now, it still gets me.
Did they say you've only 2 years to live?
2 years to live, yeah.
So there's no point in getting your reappointment?
No point,
or you wouldn't even,
nobody
they
would
wouldn't even
operate.
go, no one would operate on you?
Yeah.
So, and as we know, I think, like I know people have lived through this, I think It's a Sin has brought it to the fore again, that Channel 4 programme about what it was like and this epidemic that was ignored by so many people. So for you then, what happened? Like after you get your diagnosis, which you seem like your perfect look. I mean, in all, like, this is it. So many people.
It was a journey.
Because you mentioned there, can we bring people right back? Because you were very well known. You were at the top of your game in the hair and makeup trade.
Yeah.
Your agency.
Yeah.
Your agency, like you were very well known in Ireland. You know,
Absolutely.
you were a high-profile socialite.
Yeah.
And then what happened? How did you
made
lose
it worse
everything?
because people would often even say to me, even in recent years, they'd say, "Well, you were in the fashion industry." You know what I mean? You know, like, surely they would have been they were very acceptable of me being as camp as a row of tents or being outrageous or whatever. That was fine. But transitioning, and there was no such word as transgender back then.
Yeah.
You know, it was called a sex change. So when you equate sex with anything, you get something completely different. And being a hair and makeup artist too, I was working with a lot of ad agencies, which are really corporate companies. So it was a lot of corporate people that weren't hiring me then.
And this was because you did an article in Sunday Indo.
Yeah.
And what, like, in the aftermath of that?
Well, somebody actually leaked the story, first of all, to the Sunday World about me back in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know who it was. I have an idea, but I don't know.
Yeah.
About me transitioning. And I woke up one Sunday morning to me being on the front page of a Sunday newspaper and my telephone ringing. This was before mobile phones.
Yeah.
And everyone's saying you're in. And I just thought, well, yeah, of course I'm in the paper, because I was always in the paper for something, for doing hair and makeup or doing something. Yeah. And it was also the year that I'd done the Eurovision, the hair and makeup with Johnny Logan and stuff like that. So that wasn't unusual for me to have been in the papers. And then when I saw it, I mean, oh my God. And it wasn't even just me. Like, I have a sister that lives in the country, you know what I mean? And her kids were in school. They got an awful lot of hassle as well. So people don't realise that they're not just getting at me, they're getting at my family. They're getting at everyone. And at the time I have a daughter, and my daughter was, I couldn't see my daughter anymore. It was a nightmare.
But Rebecca, can we ask you then, so you've been given this diagnosis, you've been told you've 2 years to live, but you still wanted your transition. You wanted that, and you went and found a surgeon.
I did. Because I remember when I licked my wounds, and I thought, because I am quite resilient as well, and I thought, I'm going to find out more about this. So I kind of eventually found a surgeon who said that they would do it. I had to pay extra money.
Okay.
Which I didn't mind at all. And I did pay for my own surgery. At the time, it was £7,000, which was a lot of money. It's a lot of money today, but it was a hell of a lot of money then.
Absolutely.
And I actually managed to get 3 surgeries done before any HIV medication came out. I got my lower surgery, I got breasts done, and I got my nose done. And people often say, well, how did you survive that? You even asked me that too. And I think it was just I just wanted to be Rebecca so badly.
But it was...
Do you know what I mean?
Well, you could. This is how you survive, because you're you.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't have survived the other way.
No, and I wasn't going to be a pour me a double gin. Do you know what I mean? I just wanted to be... But it brought... Even with getting to that stage, I thought even once I had my operations, once my surgeries were done, everything would be okay and the world would be fine. And everybody would just say, yeah, she's Rebecca.
Yeah.
But even in Ireland and family too, it was still a bridge too far.
Yeah.
At the time.
At the time.
Yeah, and I did then turn very big time to alcohol, because I discovered that the more alcohol I took, it numbed the pain, which then led to me becoming a sex worker, because I had to earn money, which then I ended up being a heroin addict and a crack addict. And I got clean and sober 16 years ago. You know, and then my life started to change somewhat. But even then I would come back to Ireland and it was still tough. It was still tough. Even 10, 12 years ago when I wrote my book and everything, at that time, it was still tough.
And, like, when you're saying that the drink and the drugs and the sex trafficking, where did this all happen? Was this in London?
London, yeah. You know, it literally was. I mean, I had to eat, I had to live. It was really hard. And at this stage, I was just gone into my 30s. So, like, what people seem to forget, I'm 64 today. I was 64 on the 6th of June. I'm really proud of that too, because also, I mean, the trans community, that's kind of hailed like as, you know, being queen, you know what I mean? Because a lot of trans women sadly don't live to my age.
They don't make it.
They don't make it. You know, a lot of my friends were either murdered or died of overdoses and stuff like that. And all we just want to be is ourselves, you know what I mean? What's so tragic about that?
And the wonderful thing, Rebecca, is that you are helping other trans at the moment.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
I have been since 2016. Sorry, a frog in my throat. I just saw a lot of trans girls in London just being treated really badly. At this stage, I was being treated okay because I looked more like a female, or how a female is supposed to look. So I'd go into the gender identity clinic because I wanted to get something done with my voice.
Yeah.
And then they told me my voice is fine, and it is fine. I don't care anymore. But I remember I'd walk in and the girls on reception would say, "Oh, you look amazing in your hair," because I'm so Barbie. And then some other girls...
You are, it's not like your hair.
And then some other girls would come in that just didn't quite look like what society expects them to look like. I'm being treated really badly. And I thought, I've got to do something about this, because visually, it's great if you pass, I suppose, but at the same time, inside, we all feel the same. So I just wanted to change that, and I realised there was a lot of poverty in the trans community. So I started kind of doing stuff, and then Kensington Palace, I reached out to them, and I do my graduations in Kensington Palace, and now I do a lot of trans training there as well.
Yeah, so this is workshops that you do for people in the trans community in London. Are you doing any in Ireland?
I'm doing one, because then Dublin Pride, actually, last year, kind of got talking with them, and they have brought me home for 3 months to work here, and we started doing one in the Dublin Pride shop, and I've done 3, so they're kind of Trans Tuesdays. And it's good. Like yesterday was amazing.
Yeah, I saw the pictures yesterday.
And it's just growing. And a lot of the young trans girls are saying to me, "We really need you here," because medically things are really bad here.
Yeah. The waiting list
and everything.
And we all know that suicide in the trans community worldwide is huge.
And I run 2 clinics in London. I actually work in the hospital now that I was on a life support machine in Chelsea and Westminster Hospital. So it's
such an incredible story, Rebecca, and we could talk to you for another 20 minutes, but unfortunately we've run out of time. But look at, you're back. I'm so proud of you. And I know so many people will be so proud of you on Saturday, leading that Pride
Our
parade.
Grand Marshal.
And just everybody have a fantastic Pride. Be safe, have fun. And it's going to be wonderful.
And thank you for the support.
And it's a pleasure to have you in here. Thank you for coming in this morning. An absolute pleasure.